Well, with us this morning to review the papers is Alison Stewart-Allen, Chief Executive of International Marketing Partners, and Paul McNamee, the UK editor of The Big Issue. And there is lots to talk about this morning on the front pages. Good to see you both. Thanks so much for joining us. Paul, let's start with you. The front page of The Eye, this story leading many of the front pages today, that interim report into Partygate that we saw yesterday. I mean, their headline, like a few of them this morning, saying that this really does leave Boris Johnson's political career in peril. What do you think?
Yes, and you're right, this does dominate the front page. It's been a while since there's been one story that is quite so dominant, and it's back to Partygate and it's back to Boris Johnson, and each particular paper has their own spin. This is the leading from the interim report, full report from the Cross-Party Privileges Committee hasn't come out yet. And in their language, Boris Johnson may have, which in parliamentary language is quite strong, may have misled Parliament over what was going on around Partygate and the gatherings that he held. This is new evidence from his own people, messages between them. WhatsApp really is the vehicle of the week for a number of stories, and they saying that they knew the gatherings were wrong, essentially, and they're swapping messages around. And Boris Johnson is coming back claiming that it's some kind of Labour stitch-up and Sue Gray being hired by Keir Starmer's part of it. But the problem for the government is that this just makes it a live story again, and while Rishi Sunak may wish to put some distance between him and Boris Johnson, and particularly around what's happening in Northern Ireland, Sunak looking like he has come to some agreement after the situation Boris Johnson had brought around with the protocol, it's damaging and it's not going away. And you can see The Guardian have a similar front page, the Mail and the Express go with the same story, but they're on the side of Boris Johnson, so it's about him coming out fighting. It's a story that is live, and it will just keep rumbling on, because it may be that it's a number of months before the final report is published, and then Boris Johnson, that's when we could see censure from them for him in Parliament. He could be suspended. It could be further than that. It may be that his own voters look for recall for another vote for him. So it's a very live story again after they potentially thought it had gone away.
Yeah, it certainly is, Paul. But very interesting that, Boris Johnson had a very different interpretation yesterday. He felt that the interim report vindicated him, saying that there was absolutely nothing to show that he had any knowledge that rules were being broken. But Alison, the Mirror front page, of course, as you would expect, a very different viewpoint today.
Absolutely right. And it's suggesting that, the photos of Boris and several members of his staff and other cabinet members were attending parties during lockdown. So he's up for a grilling in the next couple of weeks. And to Paul's point, this just keeps the scandal alive. And in fact, if you think about the Conservative Party as a brand, this is not helpful. This is, again, telling the public, look, this is a political party that's in trouble. Its past is still haunting it. It can't distance itself from it. And it's quite problematic for them, really. They need to find a way to put this to bed. And, the fact that Boris Johnson's appearing in the next 2 weeks in front of a committee, again, just will bring this story back in 2 weeks' time. So they're finding it really hard to escape it. And, as with any brand, the best thing to do is to confront the problem and be very specific about what you're going to do to fix it. And that's the piece that's really missing.
Yeah, and speaking of the past continuing to haunt the Conservative Party, it's hard not to talk about the Matt Hancock WhatsApp revelations, which once again dominates the front page of the Daily Telegraph, Paul.
Yes, and again, WhatsApp is the theme, is the line that connects both the Boris Johnson inquiry and now this. And be careful about what you message on WhatsApp. This is another series of the Telegraph are calling it revelations in their investigation. It's basically the WhatsApp messages that have been passed. This time it's that Matt Hancock was at odds with Rishi Sunak and others in Cabinet. He wanted to go further with lockdown measures. They didn't. One of the main quotes they have is that Hancock felt that Sunak's reluctance was him showing ankle to the hard right of the party. It's quite a good turn of phrase, I think, on a WhatsApp message. But the wider question that this raises is, what is public record? When you're a minister of state, should these messages, that you believe are private, should you understand that at some point they could be made public? Do you need to be more careful? Do you need to be more transparent? I would say yes, you do need to be more transparent, and there needs to be a matter of public record, particularly when it is something of this nature in lockdown. And Hancock just keeps coming out of it so badly. I mean, he looks quite craven in these messages. This idea, they're implying that he thought that it would help his career with some of these things that are happening in COVID. So he just does not come out of it well.
Okay, Paul, Alison, we're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. We'll see you in the next hour. Thank you so much. I should say that Paul Hancock does maintain that there's no public interest case for this huge breach, as he calls it. More in the next hour, and more on that story that dominates the front pages regarding Boris Johnson at the top of the hour as well. Stay with us for that.